if you don't have conversations with people that challenge you, you don't read stuff that challenges your currently held beliefs, you're going to fall into the sheep or puppet category. Media has been in cahoots with the government for a long time. And so for you to have any sort of implicit trust in the media, you really haven't woken up yet.
That's facts. I mean, the brainwashing is strong. They can change anything they want because people don't read, people don't do their research. The bad part is the people that are claiming to be the ones to help you who know some of these facts, they'll get on TV and they'll tell you the opposite of what's good for you. I remember being like, I'd say about 8, 9, 10 years ago, believing everything CNN said. We as people have to start getting it together and fix it and be more open-minded and kinder to one another and stop being political bullies and stop wishing bad on people that's your political opposition. You know, to get out of that matrix is such a good feeling. Just like you open different chambers in your mind, the freedom of thinking, opening that third eye up and just learning to investigate and getting facts over feelings.
This is Sparta!
Welcome back to Spartan Leadership. And because you can see the man, the myth, the legend, Emmanuel Whitfield sitting next to me, this week you're getting Leadership in Review. And man, we haven't been on in a minute, so it's been a couple of months since we did a Leadership in Review because the last one we did special for Mental Health Awareness Month.
That's right.
So we got a lot to catch up on.
Did you miss me?
Everyone missed you. Everyone missed you. And he's not smoking today because of climate change.
I like that.
Everyone knows that.
I'm doing my part.
Yeah, right.
Not. Fighting a little bronchitis, so can't smoke this week. But I'm pretty in the clear. I'm just a little hesitant to get back smoking, but I will be back.
And he's allowing me to smoke my Opus X Oro today, so that is what I'm smoking. But why don't we talk? We'll lead right into climate change since that's what we got.
Yeah.
We got a number of issues to catch up on with you guys. We want to see if leadership's working, what leadership's working, what's not working, which I think we agree a lot's not working right now. But on this climate change respect, so we've had our worst air quality in the Midwest for what, going on 2 weeks?
And this has been since the start of recording air quality. This has been the worst.
Yeah.
I guess it's from the forest fires over in Canada. But have you ever had a summer where every day is gloomy? It's like this haze. Yesterday was the first time I saw a glimpse of a blue, clear sky.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of blue, clear skies. So it's been crazy.
There's been a haze. When I was golfing last Friday on my birthday, we were noticing that over the 18th green at Bishop's, the haze over the Lake Mendota.
Oh, that was Snoop Dogg over there.
Oh, was it? Wouldn't put it past him. But I didn't know he was in town. I probably would have been there. So interesting enough about these fires, right? So immediately the U.S. media, I almost said government because they're one and the same.
That's true.
But the U.S. media jumps and says climate change. Mm-hmm. Politicians say climate change.
Yeah.
And up in Canada, there's reports of arson.
Yep.
In many of the different provinces. But immediately we jump to climate change.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like taking cues from people that are flying on private jets and telling us to don't buy a pickup truck. But they can fly first class in their private jets everywhere.
And not only that, they're buying beachfront property.
Exactly.
Multi-million-dollar estates in Florida and California. Interesting. Oh, and Nantucket. So if we're worried about ocean levels rising, why would you, as politicians that are supposedly pushing this narrative,
exactly,
be worried?
Buy some property where it's supposed to be flooded out within 10 years.
Yeah.
And whoever that little young girl is, Greta, whatever her name is.
Thunberg, I think. Greta,
yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Greta something. Thunberg, I think.
Greta something that goes to these conventions and these climate control conventions on a private jet. So, you know, Hines, whatever, John Kerry, the whole shebang. They talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. Al Gore. Yeah.
Who invented the internet?
Yeah.
Supposedly. So you knew he was a liar when he said that, but we're going to believe him on climate change, though, right?
We were supposed to be underwater, 8 years ago or something like that, leaving it up to Al Gore. So,
well, Greta deleted her tweet from 5 years ago that said 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I think it was June 21st. We were supposed to be wiped out.
I saw that.
But she deleted that tweet.
She wiped that tweet out.
Yeah, she wiped that tweet out. That's for sure. So the lack of, well, I'll say there's two forms of leadership here. There is leadership in the sense that these politicians, certain politicians, worldwide, not just here in the U.S., but certainly up in Canada and Trudeau's communist reign, and many others in Europe, are leading us into a path of climate control, meaning they're trying to control us through the narrative of climate change. And the reason they can do that is because most of us are good human beings.
Mm-hmm.
We care about the environment. We care about the earth. We care about animals. We care about ourselves. So if you scare us enough into thinking that climate can be controlled, then we'll, be under your control, if you will.
Yeah. Most people are so obedient and people don't read. It's just like a herd of sheep. They believe anything that the media tells them. That goes back to COVID and the whole nine. Well, it goes back a lot further than that, but yeah, I think we're starting to wake up to it. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully more people are waking up to it. That's part of the reason we do these episodes as well. These are our opinions, but they're formed through, we actually do educate ourselves on these matters. And that's why we always want to have diverse opinions as well. But the point is that media has been in cahoots with the government for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood as well, been controlling the narrative for a long time. And so for you to have any sort of implicit trust in the media, you really haven't woken up yet.
That's facts. I mean, the brainwashing is strong. I remember being I'd say about 8, 9, 10 years ago, believing everything CNN said. And, to get out of that matrix is such a good feeling. And I started with my escape rooms. Once you start building these rooms, it's like you open different chambers in your mind, the freedom of thinking, opening that third eye up and just learning to investigate and getting facts over feelings. And that's a big step in a lot of people's lives that a lot of people haven't even attempted to get up and try to find facts. They're just, I belong to this gang, I belong to that gang, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat. And once you start thinking like that, it's just the brainwashing is strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once you form an identity in that, which we've had a full episode on, and how we come together. But once you form an identity in those, one of those two gangs, as you mentioned, it's really hard to see anything else. And what you need to be doing is reading contrarian stuff of what you currently believe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
I will say, I will tell people like that, hey, I get it. That's hard.
Yeah.
When I first started doing that, I was like, what is this? But if you don't have conversations with people that challenge you, you don't read stuff that challenges your currently held beliefs, you're going to fall into the sheep or puppet category.
I think one of the best things in life, though, the journey of life is so beautiful because you could deny something so long, but when reality kicks in, you start to wake up and you start to say, hey, that's like me. I thought I was invincible. I could smoke 1 million cigars a day. But reality kicked in. It says, slow down. You have to look at reality. You have to smoke in moderation. And it took me to get a little sick to understand I have to slow down. So with this buyer's remorse, you can continue to vote a certain way until it starts coming home. Chicago. It's just a beautiful thing to watch the minorities, the blacks in Chicago, have all of this buyer's remorse, but they continuously vote for the same type of people. You go from Lightfoot to this Johnson, whoever this new guy is, who's putting immigrants who are here illegally above you consistently. And that's what the Democratic Party has done to black people. Put someone above them. Their vote it's useless now. And now they're becoming more of a minority. Your vote really doesn't count now. And that's all you hear about them doing is crying in Chicago. And I don't want to laugh on their plight, but it's almost like this is what you asked for. You know, you can't get schools open in your neighborhood, but illegal immigrants can come over here and they can open these schools up for them and they can pay rent. They're trying to pass a $25 million budget to pay illegals rent and stuff. And the minorities that are in the cities who've been there forever, they're getting nothing. Mm-hmm. And I continue to vote that way. It doesn't bother me because my life is good and it's going to continue to be good. And my kids are done with school, but that's a lot of the teacher unions, these teachers. You ask for these kids, you ask for these criminal thugs to be hooked on these cell phones. And whoever had this bright idea that you can bring a cell phone to school, it's like asking a drug addict to bring a drug to a rehab facility. These kids are hooked on these phones and you're saying bring these into the schools. Now they're beating up teachers and you can't tell them nothing, but you get what you ask for.
Mm-hmm.
You do.
Well, we'll get into immigration in a minute. I want to close the loop on the climate change piece because I want everyone to remember that it used to be called global warming.
Mm-hmm.
But as the global temperatures didn't warm fast enough for the people that were trying to push this narrative, they changed the verbiage to climate change.
That's what they do on everything.
But most people don't see it. That's what's so crazy. It's like, you do not realize that when we were growing up in school, they called it global warming. And because the earth wasn't warming to their proportions enough, and in fact, they actually started going the opposite way for a few years, they had to change it to climate change because that was ruining their narrative and ruining their push to control us.
They keep that loophole. So when climate change burns out, they're going to call it hot Cheetos or something. It's going to be something different. It's going to continue to change to fit their narrative.
Don't mess with hot Cheetos. Hot Cheetos are good. Flaming hot Cheetos.
Flaming hot Cheetos.
Those are good.
That's what's going to be.
Don't you dare steal that name, politicians.
But yeah, they're going to continue. That's just like when their COVID narrative didn't work, it was this, it's a different variant. That's the reason it's not working. So when they keep these loopholes, you can never pin them down because they'll wiggle up out of it some way.
What did they call the act where they signed on the budget? The Fiscal Responsibility Act. Get the fuck out of here. We're going to add trillions of dollars more to the budget,
right,
and put it under the guise that we're acting fiscally responsible.
Yeah. Well, they can change anything they want because people don't read. People don't do their research. Just like they changed the definition of a recession. You know, they changed the name of it. That. It's just, they can always kick the can down the street.
So just remember, we're being led one way or another. Just, which are you going to fall for?
Yeah.
Are you going to continue to let them lead you down this climate change path, which, again, is about control of you? The next shutdowns, the next lockdowns will be climate change oriented. They've already ran this play. If you haven't watched the movies on Amazon, Agenda and Agenda 2, I highly suggest you watch them. Amazon Prime, you can look them up. I'm surprised Amazon still has them on there, honestly. But anyhow, they run these plays ahead of time. They ran a play on
a pandemic.
Pandemic lockdowns. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. A pandemic lockdown. They even called it a COVID variant.
Yeah, I saw that.
Not exactly COVID-19, but they called it a COVID variant. This was just a few months before COVID actually hit the U.S. They also ran a simulation of blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline.
Yeah, that's wild.
And then a few months later, the Nord Stream pipeline was blown up.
Just watch The Simpsons and a lot of this stuff will come true,
It's crazy how much The Simpsons is predicted.
The submarine thing, The Simpsons had that with Homer and his dad.
That is crazy how much The Simpsons have predicted.
I think the government have these think tanks and they just go play by play how you can control people's minds. And it's quite simple. Just imagine if someone gave you a phone call today and said, "Hey, there's some lethal gas going on at your house. Don't come home. Don't come on your premises." You'll believe it, without doing research. And that's how easily they can trick the mainstream can trick the public. We don't do our research. We believe we don't think that they're that cruel to lie over stuff like that, but. Unfortunately, it's very true. They lie about so much.
They lie about just about everything.
Yeah.
So you really have to look past it. And I do. We've talked about that before, but it bears repeating. Is most of you listening and that exist in this universe are good people.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is too many bad people have gotten into Washington.
The teachers, the people that are supposed to be fighting for you. You know, it's the blind leading the blind. And I think it's the bad part is the people that are claiming to be the ones to help you who know some of these facts, they'll get on TV and they'll tell you the opposite of what's good for you. It's just like the Black Caucus. They haven't done anything for their black voting bloc. The schools are getting worse. The neighborhoods, crime, everything is just going downhill, you know, and that's just not a good way to represent your block of voters, you know. It'd be like someone being a teacher and you're teaching the kids everything that's wrong. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of teachers are doing right now. I don't know how anyone can send their kids to public school anymore. It's crazy.
I won't.
I'm glad my kids are done with school, but yeah, it's tough, man.
And I know it's tough to be a teacher. I want to back some good teachers too.
Yeah.
Because I know it's tough to be a teacher right now in public schools.
I wouldn't dare be a teacher. The kids run the schools. You cannot tell these kids anything. I've seen too many kids beat up teachers.
Hold on. Whose fault is that?
I would start with the teachers' unions and the parents. The parents and the teachers too. Because with no rules, you won't get any good results.
Yeah, but fair. But I'm just saying, if my kids were running amok, and getting in trouble and causing trouble in schools,
getting whooped.
There's going to be consequences, right? So it's these parents that are taking their kids' side instead of listening to the teachers or listening to the coaches. That's why these good coaches are getting fired too.
100%.
Right. So let's make sure that accountability is being had. It starts at home. But also these teacher unions, these liberals who thought to be so lenient, no kids left behind. You can't suspend this kid. So as a parent, you're looking at this teacher, this school is my babysitter. My kid can do whatever with no consequences. But with consequences, they'll send my kid home. Then that kid will be my responsibility. Yeah. So they have nothing to lose. I talk to a lot of principals at schools, and they say the parents are so bad. A kid can be on film beating someone up, and the parent will come to school talking about, why are you doing this to my child? Yeah. So it's tough, man. Like I said, it starts like bringing the cell phones to school. Whose bright idea was that? You can beat another kid up and you can't suspend these kids, You don't have to do any schoolwork and we're going to pass you anyway. It's not setting them up for success in this world.
It's setting them up for failure.
Right. That's the thing. So you kind of leaned into immigration a little bit when we were first on the climate side of things. So let's go to that next.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, because of how little the majority of the media has covered it, that the vast majority of the U.S. even knows we're in a immigration crisis right now.
No, they don't.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
There has been approximately 10 million people let into the U.S. Let in.
Yeah.
Since Biden's been in office.
But it's totally different when you have an immigration vaccine. And when I say an immigration vaccine, when you live in Nantucket or Cape Cod or this plush neighborhood where most immigrants or most Americans would never be able to afford, you have an immigration vaccine. It doesn't affect you. Your local deli, your local grocery store, your Trader Joe's and all of this other stuff, they're not going to get this influx. You may have some Hispanics working there or some Haitians or African immigrants that may work in some of these establishments, but they're in a bubble. But when you don't have that vaccination, when you live where immigrants come to your neighborhood, because that's the only place they can live, and that's when it really affects you. Like I say, Chicago, they're not going to Arlington Heights. They're not going to these rich places in Chicago, the Gold Coast. Yeah. They're going right into these hoods. That's the only where they can compete for places. And not only that, I just have to state facts. Their work ethic is better than most Americans because we are more content to what we have. And these guys are like, this is a bright opportunity for me, so I'm going to work hard, super hard. So when you get a landlord in one of these slum places and you got somebody that's been here their whole life that's waiting on Section 8 or waiting on welfare, and you got this family of 5 or 6 that work, all of them bringing in an income, and you're gonna gear toward them living there more than a person that's been here more. So it's affecting the black community the most. And they're the ones that are standing up for these open borders. And all I can say is continue to do that. If that's what floats your boat, continue to do that.
Except you're seeing people in Chicago now fight back.
They're complaining.
They're fighting back.
It's not fighting back. They're crying.
Well, all right.
It's not fighting back. It's crying because you want to cry now that you got Lightfoot out of there, and it's got worse. You could have voted in someone that's harder on crime and tougher on illegal immigration, but you went and got the opposite. So I don't want to hear those crocodile tears.
Yeah, and this guy literally said in a speech, we have an obligation to care for them.
Yeah, but I'm not going to care for you that's been here. I'm not going to do a damn thing for you.
Right.
It's too late. You got me in here, suckers.
And you keep voting for it.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy. And that actually, in my opinion, is like the definition of racism.
Reverse though.
No, it's not reverse. What I'm saying, because I think racism is racism. What I'm saying is, regardless if it's Lightfoot, a black female, or this guy, a white male that's now the mayor, like when you come in and say you're going to help, and then you do the opposite of that, and then laugh your way to the bank, that's the definition of racism. When you lie to someone's face, like it's like, oh, should it be like, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm just going undercover racist right now. I'm not saying the N-word to your face. I'm saying I'm going to help you. You get me elected, and then I'm actually not going to help you. In fact, I'm going to do less than help. Like I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah, but what Chicago did was he blatantly told him, "I'm going to defund the police," which is one of the worst things you could do in Chicago. You need way more police officers. So he pretty much told them to their face, but the racism comes in blind voting on a color. That's what I'm saying. Reverse racism. You're black, so I'm going to vote for you. No matter how bad you treat me, even if that white man was going to do me right, I'm going to vote for the black guy who's going to do me wrong. That's just insanity to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, and that's what our politicians have done such a good job at in splitting us apart.
Yeah.
Because being racist is the lowest form of intelligence.
Yeah.
In any, like, doesn't matter your skin, like judging someone on skin color, you're a moron.
Yeah.
Like there's no two ways about it. Like that's the lowest form of intelligence there is.
I think, but not to cut you off, I think that's the lowest form of racism right now. That's a mild racism. When people judge person by what they look like and what their skin color is, that's mild racism compared to political racism. That's where the strong hatred comes in. Republicans don't hate Democrats as much as Democrats despise Republicans. It's the racism there is they want you dead. They want your job. They cannot stand you. They will hang up the phone on you. They could, man, it's so bad if I don't want to tell myself. I was talking to this chick a while ago, right? And she was really digging me. Until I said I like Donald Trump. I mean, hung up the phone. Don't you ever call me again. Basically calling me the N-word with an R on it. You fucking Republican. That is just crazy to me that someone can hate you that much because of a political difference. It ain't because I'm black, because she was white. But it was. You like who? Don't you ever call me again. That's crazy.
Well, you said this before.
Yeah.
Is what'd you say? Republicans disagree. Democrats disown.
They really disown you. They don't want you. They don't want you nowhere around. One of my best friends, man. We were in a rap group together. I love him to death. I say names. Aaron Hynum, one of my best friends. I said I like Trump at his house. His wife got up and walked in, slammed the door, and she loved me before that. But all of a sudden that I'm not that house pet Negro that I'm supposed to be a good boy, couldn't stand me. Didn't want me over to any other functions.
That's how deep the brainwashing is, dude.
It's sad,
That's how deep it is. And that's where people got to get out of this identity.
A lifelong friend. That is sad.
You got to get out of this identity, because if you can do that to a lifelong
friend that you love, that you loved, and that just because of a political difference. Because the crazy part, I could care less what they like. It doesn't bother me one bit. I'll stop getting invited to the pool parties. Oh, his wife did not like me after that. just broke her heart. I mean, literally got up and went to the room and bawled out because I was a Donald Trump fan. Wow.
Crazy.
It is.
All right, here's the other piece that I don't think people are getting with immigration. Remember the movie Troy? You remember the story?
Yeah.
So what's the only way to invade America?
Maybe a Trojan horse.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just letting it in.
Yep.
So they want to go on the news and say that it's these families that are on there, and they'll cherry pick the families. Remember that whole thing when AOC went down there and staged herself in front of cages and blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
So anyhow, they want to say that it's all families trying to get out here, when literal third world countries are sending their prison population,
The worst of the worst.
The worst of the worst, to our border. China's dropping military-aged males getting into our country. Yep. So we're talking about a Trojan horse situation. I pause for effect because that's literally like, we're not going to see the effects on this today. We're going to see the effects on this decade after decade after decade from now.
You have no country without borders. And that's the bottom line. I mean, when you start letting Al-Qaeda guys in here and Chinese military spies coming over here, and it's just, America needs to wake up, man. We got a president that's compromised, but as long as you're on that side of the game, you could care less what crimes he commit, what him.
Or if he can even form a sentence.
Yeah.
But that's what everyone's got to wake up to is, all right, so let's just put this out there. So we had an orange man that said exactly what you said.
Yeah.
That said we need to close our borders and had a plan to do so, and would have cost less than $5 billion to finish the border.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We've sent $113 billion to Ukraine since the orange man was labeled bad and gotten out of office. And, just as a reminder, $6.2 billion mess up. Audit,
they lost track.
They lost some auditing error.
Did you know that
$6.2 billion auditing error? Oh, by the way, that would have been enough and then some to finish the border wall.
Oh yeah, they just snuck in a couple more billion while we were talking about this submarine going down. People don't even know we just sent them. They just sent them some more money. In a war that Ukraine cannot win, and that's another thing. You're never gonna get the real story of what's going on over there. They were banking on this fake coup to overthrow Putin. That wasn't gonna work, So it's just lie after lie after lie. You're never gonna get the truth, But the beauty of life is the truth. The cream will rise to the top one day, and we'll look back. But this is the great loophole for American politicians and everything else. There's a big loophole where they can say, "Oops, my bad." When everything doesn't go right, like I'm saying, Ukraine is not going to beat Russia. I'm telling you that right now. But when it all fails.
So what does that mean? We have to get involved.
Yeah.
So we're going to so after we've given them $113 billion and this war goes on for the next 2 years and you guys elect another Democrat in because you're scared of, because Biden can't formulate a sentence. So they're probably going to put Newsom or Michelle Obama up.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. It's either going to be Gavin Newsom, who's a full-blown communist, or Michelle Obama, who's never ran anything in her life other than be a president's wife. And she seems like a fine woman, but that's literally her qualifications.
Yeah.
So you're going to elect one of those people. They're going to get us into a war with Ukraine with our young men and women on the ground. And so then we're going to be in a full-blown war with Russia.
Maybe. I think China's going to be the equalizer. China's not going to have that. But I think America wants to get into a war. But I think what's going to end up happening is Biden will by then have paid off all of his people that have endorsed his campaign, all of the industrial military complex guys, all the weapon manufacturers. He's paying them off right now. All of those billions of dollars are going back to them. Lockheed and whatever their name is, Smith or whatever. All those guys they're getting theirs on the back end. They're getting their money right now. So once they get paid, Biden and Democrats the Democrats and Republicans, because there's not a lot of Republicans standing up against the war, maybe a handful, but all of them are getting paid. And then at the end of the day, they can say, oh, my bad, Ukraine has to bow down to Russia and we got our money. And just look at who's getting financed, whose campaigns are getting financed from these military industrial people. And then you can see both sides, Republican, Democrat. And you look at all of the people that got backing from Big Pharma and the military complex. Hillary Clinton didn't put up any money for her campaign. Joe Biden didn't put up any money. The only people that put up money were Ross Perot, Donald Trump, and Kennedy. And that's why all of those guys could go against the war. Kennedy's father put up all the money. Trump put up his own money. Ross Perot put up his own money. If you notice, those were the only three people who ever talked down on the military industrial complex. So just follow the money.
Follow the money.
You're damn right. Because if the Ku Klux Klan gave me $4 million a year to endorse, I'd probably have a white hood on right now. So just kidding, guys.
We know the politicians would for sure.
You already know.
I've always seen this meme. I've always liked that it resurfaces, especially around election time. Whereas Congress or the individual politician should have to wear a logo like NASCAR on all of their sponsors.
On their suit, little lapel. They'd be
covered.
Full of,
just covered.
It'd be full of stuff. Speaking of full of stuff, what about this inflation and stuff that's going on? You been in a grocery store lately? Make you want to produce your own eggs. Jesus.
I do produce my own eggs.
You're a smart man. Man, inflation and interest rates are just really crazy right now.
Well, Biden got elected, so people got what they wanted.
Trump warned us. He said the gas prices, if you like gas up to $5-6 a gallon, hey, vote for this guy. But the food, man, I don't understand how anyone can afford trips to the grocery store. I go to the grocery store, I spend about $100, and it's like I got some beef jerky, maybe some Jell-O pudding, and carton of eggs. That's about it. Gallon of milk. Loaf of bread.
See, the beef jerky is where you went wrong.
I know, it's like
that's like $20.
Oh man, beef jerky used to be like $6-7. It's like $20.
You're right. That's where you went wrong.
Exactly.
But we gotta get you a different snack.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
So people think this is bad now.
Yeah.
My belief is that it's going to get very bad over the next 2 years on purpose, because they're going to propose a solution that they're the only ones that they can fix.
And plus they have to find, Democrats talk that mess about taxes. We're going to tax the rich. No, they're not. I mean, how are you going to tax someone that's been financing your campaign? When all of these major companies are giving you money, you're not going to really tax them. But you get the dumb people like us. We'll tax you through gas. We'll tax you through food. That's the major way of taxing everyone without people noticing it.
I got a question. How come we've never heard politicians say, instead of we're going to tax the rich, we're going to eliminate taxes for this sect of people?
Yeah. They can't.
Why are you guys not asking that question? Because the math's already out there. You could take every cent the top 1% has, and it wouldn't cover our annual budget.
That's why they tried to get all of these IRS workers.
Every single cent. Take it all from Bill Gates. Take it all from Warren Buffett. Take it all from Jeff Bezos. All these people. Every cent they've ever had. And it wouldn't even come, I don't even think it gets to 6 months of our federal budget. And that means you can't ever tax them again because you already took all their money. So the message of taxing the rich doesn't actually work if you do math.
It sounds good though.
It sounds good to people that don't know any better.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
So that's the point, is like, you got to ask a different question. Like during COVID, they could have paused our taxes. They said, as long as we're shut down, we could have paused we're going to pause your taxes.
They didn't know.
They didn't do that. No.
Really did.
And in fact, they shut down all the small mom and pop shops. So all the family owned businesses that employ the majority of the people in your communities, they shut them down. And who'd they leave open? the people that pay them money.
Yep.
Amazon,
Google,
Target,
yeah,
Costco, all the big companies that already have more money than God and can do whatever they want,
Walmart,
and shut down
the big
all
boys.
the mom and pop shops.
Yep, but the big boys can stay open as long as you wear a mask.
Yeah. And keep 6 feet apart and have pretend plastic in between you and the cashier.
That is a good question you posed. Why don't you eliminate taxes for the poor then, the regular ordinary working people? If you talking this tax stuff so much, so. But yeah, that's why they try to go out and get all of these new IRS agents to. I think that's really sad and just really thirsty to go get all of these IRS agents to go after people like waitresses and stuff like that who probably pocket a few dollar tips and and. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. With this currency stuff, trying to make everything digital currency.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think is going to be the solution they present.
Yep. Yeah.
And here's how they're going to get you. They're going to give you free CBDC. So centralized bank digital currency. That's what the name is probably going to be, right? So they're going to get you into this, and they're going to get you to transfer your money over, all your cash, into the CBDC, and they'll give you like $5,000. So they're going to operate on your greed to get you into it.
It's so true. It's like a Ponzi scam. It's
100% a Ponzi scheme. But this is also the reason they won't ever pause anyone's taxes like they should have during COVID.
Yeah. Oh, they will pause some people's taxes. Hunter Biden's.
That's true. The two-tiered justice system we have. Yeah. If you're a Democrat, you don't get prosecuted.
Exactly.
If you identify as a Republican, then you get prosecuted.
They pause his taxes. What the statute of limitation is 5 years, so it's like about $400,000 worth of taxes. They let the time limit run out, but that's a whole nother can of worms.
Oh, how about SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, or whatever his name was? They gave him a slap on the wrist.
He was a pun. I told people, maybe on one of our podcasts, I told people nothing's going to happen to him. He's the greatest thing. He was put there. He was a mole to sabotage cryptocurrency. So that the government can have their own centralized banking system. And
well, not just that, he also funneled a ton of money to the
Democrats. Yeah.
So that's why he got the slap on the wrist instead of going.
How much time did they?
No time.
Yeah,
slap on the wrist.
Oh, he got no time?
I'd have to look up exactly what it was, but I saw like no time, like slap on the wrist. And you were in prison longer than he's going to be.
And his thing was worse than damn near Imran. He screwed way more people out of money, but I told people he was the plant for the Democratic, government, period. So, wow.
So that's, with inflation, I think people got to prepare for worse than we're already at.
Yeah.
And they're going to make it worse, and they're going to try and lead us down this path to CBDC. And you may be thinking, you may be sitting there going, well, why is that a bad thing, Josh? Well, it's all about control. So Hollywood's predicted a lot of this shit. We just don't pay attention to it. You watch iRobot with Will Smith?
No. Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
That was a long,
Yeah, so remember when they had all the digital cars, the EVs? Yep. And then he had, I think it was like a truck or a Ford Mustang, one of the two older gas-powered car. That was the only thing that worked.
That was independent,
yeah, because it wasn't on their system.
Exactly.
So same thing with China. China currently has a social credit score where they basically, they have so much AI, they have a credit score basically on your forehead, social credit score. And if you go against what their government says, they lock you out of your bank accounts, they lock you out of your car, they lock you out of your air conditioning.
Like Canada. With the trucking thing.
Yeah, Canada's
the first thing they
way.
did, locked them out of their banks. And the crazy part about China, if you jaywalk, they got facial recognition. They go right in your account and find
pull
you.
The money.
Yeah,
yep.
God. And that's what they want here. Right. That's what they want here. Democrats don't care. They want it because if Donald Trump don't want it, we want it.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Well, no, Donald Trump is the problem. He's been warning us of both sides. It's not Democrats. It's both Democrats. It's the establishment.
Yep.
It's the establishment.
Yep.
So anyhow, let's get into a little bit of establishment. Let's talk about 2024.
Yeah.
And what needs to happen. In your opinion, what needs to happen for 2024 for us to get our country back?
We need Donald Trump back. Bad. Donald Trump needs good people around him. Donald Trump, I love Donald Trump, but Donald Trump made some bonehead decisions. Mm-hmm. Some things like If me and you were with Donald Trump, he wouldn't have made the mistakes that he made. We don't go get John Bolton and if we're anti-war. We don't go get Pompeo's and all of these backstabbers, Barr and Jeff Sessions, just everyone he picked up. And you notice the ones that they knocked off of his cabinet. Who was the one guy that...
Chris Christie?
Nah, Chris Christie. All of those guys were traitors. The shabby looking guy. The one that's, God, he was with Trump at first, but then they kind of got rid of him. It'll come back to me. But if you notice, the ones that had Trump's back are the ones the government went after the most, you know, and Matt Gaetz and people like that, they all tried to bring up these fake ass crimes against these guys because they know, and all of these ladies, the Republican ladies, they're rock stars. You know, Marjorie Greene and all of these guys are rock stars. And that's, you can tell who's good for America. That's the ones the media go after the most, you know. But yeah, Trump, if he had the right people around him and didn't make the bonehead mistakes and fell into the traps, like Trump don't understand. If there's a speed trap waiting specifically for me when I leave your place, I'm not going to go down that road, and I'm most definitely not going to speed down that way. Trump know that they got it out for him. So you have to be extra careful. You have to bring everything, illuminate everything that they're going to try to do to you, and you have to let the public know, look, I know they're going to try to come after me for these whatever, his files. You know, so don't even fall into that. These files don't mean that much. Running again is worth more than maybe some golf pants and some top secret shit. I don't need none of that. We can go through it together and give them what they want. Don't fall into that trap out of arrogance. You know, that's what pisses me off about him. Don't let these people get to you like that. Don't let a snake interviewer suck you into painting you out to be racist. If I know you're about to interview me and you first thing I know you're going to say to me is that I'm a racist, I'm going to get the elephant out of the room with Chris Wallace. I'm going to tell Chris Wallace, Chris, before this interview gets started on national TV, I know you're going to try to come at me and act like I'm a racist. I denounce all racism. I denounce every racist Klan, whatever, Proud Boys. I denounce it right now. Now let's get to the interview. Chris Wallace would have been like, oh.
And I also would have my own camera in there if they try to cut that shit.
See, I didn't even think about that. But you have to be diligent like that. You have to be on your P's and Q's. But, you know, it's just a tough road, man. There's so many Republicans that are just as dirty as the Democrats, you know, so I can't even tell you one good Democrat. I can't.
Yeah, Robert Kennedy. As far as what I've seen on him,
he's all right.
If I'm a Democrat, which I'm not, as most of you have heard me say,
he's pretty good.
Independent, libertarian if I had to pit myself in any corner. Okay. So I'm not a Trump lover like my man E here is. Because I think what I strike on is his leadership style is he could be far more unifying. Like, you know, you're going to take these attacks.
Yeah.
Be Teflon.
Yeah.
But like, let it just dirt off your shoulder and be more unifying in your message. Because that's the only way we're going to bring America back.
He could be a better chess player.
Right. So, well, I just think in just communication style, like that's what Obama was so good at. Obama's policies were trash.
Yeah.
But he was a great orator, and even me, who would never align myself with the Democrat Party, just based on a lot of different things, like he sounded good.
But Obama didn't have to go against the machine. He was part of the machine.
No, I get it. What I'm saying
Trump
is
has against all odds.
I'm just saying communication style, and that's even more important is when you go against all odds and still can be the voice of reason in the room, still be the adult in the room, that makes you more powerful.
Yeah, but you got to realize he was going up against a Goliath. I mean, when like people like Pompeo are sitting smiling in your face, and they're really Chris, all of these guys have different intentions to stab you in the back. Barr, Sessions, it's like, who do I trust?
Yeah, well, that's the problem now for 2024 is, who does he get in there that he can actually trust? Because he's been so burned by so many of these people that he may have thought he could trust.
But he knows who he can trust. You look at the ones who fought for you. Look at the ones who they tried to put cases on. Gaetz, Marjorie Greene. These people will live and die for you. You know who the ones, Jim Jordan but the McCarthy's and stuff like that. They smile. The Paul Ryans of the world. They smile. You know how tough it is to do a podcast with me. What if I had hidden intentions? That'll break your heart. Like, I thought he was my dog. You know. So this is what Trump had to go through. Like, I thought you was my buddy. It's not that easy, man. It is a dog world that he lives in.
What I'm saying is, when you can rise above it, it makes you even more strong.
He's got to know who you got to get people with a moral compass. You got to get what's his Rand Paul or Ron Paul? Rand Paul, one of the Paul.
Well, Ron's retired. Rand.
Those are two of the dopest guys out there. But
they're the realist.
But with a Rand Paul, he's got a moral compass. He's not going to read behind closed doors. There's no evidence for Russia collusion, then come out on TV like Trey Gowdy and those guys. Well, we gotta see where the chips lay. You know, Rand Paul would never do that.
They knew that there was 51 FBI agents that signed. They knew back then when they were saying that shit.
And it's crazy.
Now it just came out.
Yeah, it's crazy. All of those Republicans that were behind closed doors, it breaks your heart to know that they were in on it. You know, the gang of 8. You had 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans. Not only that, it was the Republicans who did that op search on Donald Trump, who kind of colluded with Hillary to get dirt on Donald Trump. It's just bad.
Well,
man.
That's what I'm saying is, for most, they don't understand that it's not R versus D.
Nope.
It's us versus them.
Exactly. And
that's where most of us need to come to.
You're 100%
Stop
right.
fighting with each other. Stop locking your boy out of the house.
Yeah.
Because he likes Trump or likes Biden. Like, we need to come together.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was saying, if I was a Democrat, the only person I'm voting for on that side is Kennedy.
Yeah.
And then you see how bad they're trying to paint him, calling him anti-vaxxer and all that.
Right out the gate.
They're trying to paint him into a corner so badly, and they're losing right now. He's up to 20% of the vote already. And he, like, in a incumbent situation, that shouldn't even be on the radar.
Yeah.
But like, what I'm saying with him is, again, there's a lot of things he's voted for over the past that I wouldn't agree with. But if I was Democrat, I got to take a long look at him over someone that can't formulate a sentence.
Yeah.
And shits his pants on live TV. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to get someone coherent in there. Kamala also can't form a sentence that makes sense. Or she can form sentences, they just don't go together, I should say. So maybe she has a little bit of a leg up on Biden. But then what they're going to try and run is Newsom. They're already trying to pit Newsom versus DeSantis.
Yeah.
You can see it already.
Yeah.
And that's who the establishment wants. So that makes me not trust DeSantis, because if DeSantis is the establishment pick, that makes me question.
He's establishment pick for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one thing about hardcore Trump, Trump voters get it. We get it. We get it. You'll never find another politician like him again. Everything else is just a generic brand of a great product, you know, because no matter, I like DeSantis. I like a lot of stuff that he did, but he doesn't have the balls of a Trump. You know, you get these snakes like Pompeo's and Barr and Mike Pence and Chris Christie. He went to the Christian something. They had a convention and they booed him right away because Chris Christie, Chris Christie, they booed him right away because they know he's full of shit. They know he's just an opportunist, you know. But it's just, you're gonna get what you get at the end of the day. And if people want to continue to vote for bad results, more power to them. It doesn't affect me anymore. I'm so
it affects your grocery bill. That's what you just said.
Yeah, but
so
I'll survive. I'll be good enough, because sometimes the building has to burn all the way down before people wake up. But the machine is not going to let anyone wake up. Even like, it's sad when you get news media. You got this mainstream media, and then you have this one outlet that's supposed to be geared toward the nonconformists, the Republican side. But even Fox News, Tucker was dropping too many jewels. He was waking too many people up.
So you've heard the term controlled opposition?
Yeah.
That's what Fox News was.
Yep. Exactly.
They're controlled opposition.
Yep.
So they were part of the game the whole get-go.
Yep. The warmongering.
Exactly.
Just look at who look who does all the advertisement when it's brought to you by Pfizer or brought to you by Lockheed, whatever.
Lockheed Martin.
Lockheed Martin. Yeah, that's when it's brought to you by that, and you got a guy just going in against them.
Do you know another hilarious thing about Lockheed Martin? Did you see them get on sponsoring a pride parade?
Oh wow, I didn't hear that.
That shit was hilarious to me. Like people out there wearing Lockheed Martin with rainbows on it. Do you guys realize what Lockheed Martin does for a living?
Right.
Produces weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, but they love the gay people, so we're cool with blowing people up. Like, what the
Mark
hell?
my word, though, Lockheed Martin is going to be the name of some super great wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins one day. Lockheed Martin, doesn't that sound like a dope football name? Starting at a 6'4" wide receiver, Lockheed Martin, out of Jonesboro, Mississippi. That's a dope name.
Yeah, maybe there'll be an LGBT family that chooses to have a Lockheed Martin.
They adopt a little Lockheed Martin.
Down with it just made no sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, cool, but you're just cool with people just getting blown up by this company.
That's everyone's becoming woke now. It is what it is, man. I've never thought I'd see the day where it's no problem. Be what you want to be, but when you start going after kids and you have to push that thing that you like on the other people, something's wrong with that to me. You know, I don't care what you are, who you like, or whatever you want to be. That's fine, but just leave the kids alone.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. And that's where most people are drawing the line now.
Yeah.
And that's why they're getting such pushback is because, like I even saw Megyn Kelly give a clip who was Fox News and had gone independent. I don't know if she's with an organization now.
I know she's got a great little YouTube thing going on.
I think
Tucker's been killing it too with Twitter. Tucker's been, and they're panicking over that. They want to silence him because he's dropping jewels, man. Once people start telling the truth, I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, it opens eyes and you're like, oh, well, maybe he wasn't the bad guy and he was actually trying to give some truth in an otherwise clouded world. But my point with Megyn Kelly is she gave this, I don't know if you want this monologue or whatever as part of her show. And she says, I was part of the problem. And I'll admit that I was part of the problem too. Is like you keep giving into pronouns and you keep giving in like inch by inch. And all of a sudden now we're taking away from women's sports. We're taking away from like woman of the year, trans biological male.
Right.
An NCAA champion in swimming, biological male.
Best female actress role as a biological male. Yeah.
So we're taking all the rights the women have fought for. And all of us that were dads with daughters like you and I, we're going to tell them, well, we did have a lot of traction for you as women, but then this trans movement came around. Mm-hmm. And we had to conform to the loud minority. Mm-hmm. And so, sorry, sweetie, biological men are probably just going to whoop your ass in whatever sport or whatever you choose to do.
Yep.
Sorry, honey.
I don't know what this world is coming to, man.
I mean, that's what, I'm not even going to attempt to have that conversation with my daughters. I'm going to raise them to be strong no matter what. But there are biological advantages that you and I have.
Oh, yeah.
The greatest example I think you've even brought up before. Let's say LeBron James today decides that he's going to be a trans woman.
Yeah.
You think he wouldn't dominate the WNBA in a way that's never been seen before?
Well, also, I want to see these prisons get filled up with trans men that want to go to women's prisons. We're going to see how that's going to work out. But they won't let that happen. That's when they draw the line. They tried it once. That guy ended up with 2 kids, got 2 girls pregnant right away. So, yeah, I mean, why draw the line there? If a guy say, I feel like a woman, why don't you let him go be in prison with women? Shouldn't be no difference then. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't be a hypocrite. Just like I seen the Timcast, and this guy, I don't want to really jump off on abortion stuff too much, but Timcast says, what if a woman was doing crystal meth and heroin while pregnant, and the guy had something? The guy he was pro-abortion, but when Timcast asked him, what if the woman was taking heroin and drinking and stuff while pregnant, the guy had something to say about that. And then Tim said, well, I thought it was her body. She can do whatever she wants to do. Mm-hmm. You know, look how society looks at a woman while they're pregnant and they're drinking and smoking. They're pissed off, but it's her body, you know, but what's the difference? You killing the baby anyway, you know? So then they'll say, oh, the baby's suffering, but you're saying the baby doesn't have any feelings anyway. So it's just so many slippery slopes out here, man. We just got a long way to go. A long
way to go. And the solution is this. And one of my mentors talks about it often, so I want to quote him here. This is Andy Frisella's quote, not mine, but personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. And what he means by that is they want you fat, so get healthy.
Yeah.
They want you broke, so get rich. Mm-hmm. Right? They want you hooked on pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
So live a healthy life so you don't have to be on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So all of those things you can do for the most part. Most of you can. There's a very few percentage that have a situation, medical situation, whatever it may be, thyroid issue where you literally can't lose weight.
It's up to us, though. It's up to us to give the solutions instead of the people that are giving the solutions are the people that want you sick. Like when I went to the doctor, I was pre-diabetic. They prescribed me metformin, right? And it's a diabetic drug.
Yeah.
And my AOCs, whatever, it was like at 11 or something. Not knowing.
Not your AOCs.
But AC, whatever.
A1C,
A1C. Right? I'm getting her mixed up. But AOC, my AOC.
She's actually one of the few healthy looking Congress people we have.
But like you say, I never took the medicine and it got down to 4 and it was all induced by my eating habits, my drinking habits and my exercise. But it was mainly, I was hooked on Mountain Dew and coffee and donuts. You know, of course my blood sugar was going to be through the roof, but they didn't tell me that. Here, take these pills and call you later. No, I got rid of, no sugar at all, you know, and boom, overnight, gone. No medication, but they don't give you the blueprint. Like you say, I'm bad for them because I don't need that medication anymore. You know, I'm not good for them. And they don't want to make me a poster child, but everyone that I run into, I do my job of telling them, hey, you can beat this the right way, you know.
So you want to know my conspiracy? I don't think it's a theory. I think it's pretty laid out as to what the transgender push is.
What's that?
Lifelong pharmaceutical customers.
As far as?
Well, if you want to transition to a woman, what do they got to give you?
Puberty blockers and all kind of hormones.
Yeah.
And
they got to put you on estrogen because your body naturally produces testosterone, and vice versa. If a woman wants to transition to a male,
estrogen and all of that,
they got to got to put testosterone in their body and all this other shit.
Yeah,
they actually give them one medicine that they give to sex offenders that chemically castrates them.
Yeah.
Right. So these are now lifelong pharmaceutical customers. So I don't think it has to do with like, oh, we're helping our kids' psyche, blah, blah, blah. No, it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
They put it as a guise to now create a lifelong pharmaceutical customer.
Yeah, man. And it's like, I'm so sympathetic for people who go through anything, and I have no problem with, I don't care what you want to be. You can want to be whatever. Just leave the kids out of it. Man, I'm like, why? Why do you have to go read to kids? Why do you have to push this stuff into these kids' books? I don't think any adult stuff should be pushed on kids at all. Let kids be kids.
Well, here's the thing. What is it that with drag or with LGBT, what you're talking about is a sexual preference.
Yeah.
So what some liberals that I've had conversations with will say with me, well, this is the same argument that, you know, blacks and whites had way back when, or women. So I was like, no, it's not a gender thing and it's not a race thing.
No.
Those are God-given.
Yeah.
This is a sexual preference.
Yeah. Some people like.
So you're trying to push sexual conversations onto kids. That's where we are drawing the line.
Yeah.
This has nothing like, no, like black and white, whatever color you're born with, gender you're born with.
That's like somebody,
like a woman male thing, like all those rights. You're trying to compare that. It's not the same thing.
It's a preference.
Because what we're not going into like schools with straight pride.
Yeah.
We like fucking women. So we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah.
Because we're straight.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a sexual preference.
It's a sexual preference.
What if somebody came in, let's teach the kids about bestiality? Yeah, that's my sexual preference or whatever, you know?
Unfortunately, we're probably not far away from that the way we're going, but hopefully we don't get there, but that's the thing. That's where we're talking about leaving our kids out of this. Is it's not a Jim Crow thing. It's not a women's rights thing. It is absolutely a sexual preference thing. Leave that out of the kids.
Yeah.
You're 18 plus, you can vote, you can go to war. At that point, you can decide what gender you want to be and who you want to mess around with.
Exactly. I agree. But when you can normalize something and people start to normalize it, it makes you feel like you're part of the mainstream when you know deep down inside it's just a sexual preference thing for you. And you know you shouldn't really be doing it. So I just think they're trying to normalize that behavior, which is fine when you're old enough to do it. But normalizing that with kids, if you start telling kids Santa Claus is real, they may grow up and start believing Santa Claus is real until you reality check them, you know? So it's pretty much is what's going on. But they've taken a page. It goes deep. I don't want to get too deep in it, but they've taken a page out of religion, you know, especially like, not to be bashing Judaism or anything like that, but what happened they started making being Jewish a ethnicity when it's a religion. But if the longer that it goes and the more you destroy the Middle Eastern Syria's artifacts and their religion and stuff like that, it becomes an ethnicity. Like my Jewish friend, and I don't want you to think I'm jumping on you, but this is the same page.
Yeah, you don't want to get Kanye'd.
Yeah, I don't want to get Kanye, but it's the same page. You keep saying it enough. Like my Jewish friends will say, I'm Jewish. That's a religion. And this transgender stuff is a figment of your mind. You know, it's not reality, but if you press it long enough, it becomes a reality. And I don't want to get too deep.
No, it's actually fascinating you say that. I've had these conversations with my wife because when we first met, she said, I'm part Jewish. I said, wait, Israeli?
Right.
And so we've had, and like, we're not, we are, you know, joke about it, but it's a religion. I was like, so our kids are part Israeli. Cool. Yeah. Because I have Jewish friends and I have Palestinian friends. And you ask a Jewish person that and they will say 100% it's a nationality. Yeah. You ask a Palestinian that and they say, see, now you know where the conflict comes from.
Exactly.
And so it's very fascinating you bring that up. That's what's really driven, like now y'all, if you didn't know before, that's what's driven the crux of the war between Israel and Palestine.
Yep.
So that's fascinating you bring that up. All right. We've jumped all over the board here.
That's what
because we had a lot to catch up on today. But the last thing in the media, so first, before I get to the Titan submersible.
Yeah.
Not submarine, but submersible. Before I get to that, I do want to reiterate the quote. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. The way you get yourself out of this, because no one is coming to save you. No one. Not Donald Trump, not Kennedy, not Rand Paul, certainly not Biden or Kamala.
Or the community.
Or you can't count on it. Is you have to save you and you be the example and you will lead others to be the example as well or that are around you.
Hopefully it'll trickle down. Like if you do your part with your kids and that next person can do their part with their kids, that's how you can fix a problem. But the government's not going to come. You have to, like you say, personal responsibility. Get your kids in check.
Yeah.
Don't let your kids be out here bullying people and stuff like that. But that's a good point.
That's the other thing with the kids is a lot of times you like there's a time where you have their back, but there's also a time you teach them about authority and responsibility and respect. Mm-hmm. Okay. So a lot of times I see parents taking their kids' side
on everything
and not teaching them the respect and authority that is also out there. Now, I know there's circumstances where teachers or coaches or others can cross that line, but believing your kid on everything and not getting both sides of the story and knowing that there's usually, three sides to everything. There's the other person's side, your kid's side, and then there's the truth in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming your kid is telling the truth immediately and not finding out exactly what's going on is a huge problem. Not teaching them about respect and authority, and not teaching them that, hey, you're going to have leaders in this world that you don't agree with on everything.
Yeah.
But because they're in a position of authority, you need to follow their lead.
Mm-hmm.
You need to teach them that. All right. So remember, personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. That's an Andy Frisella quote, and I 100% agree. All right, last thing, because as we've circled around this news topic, media topic, the Titan submersible, the reason I wanted to bring it up is it was a drawn-out media thing. And immediately after it was getting so much attention, I'm like, all right, my natural instinct now is to go, all right, what are they trying to cover up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So there's so many rumors, like all these, these billionaires, which by the way, none of them were billionaires. That term was thrown out very loosely. And these billionaires are, they're probably getting new names, and they're off on an island or whatever. And,
that's a tough one.
I know. But anyhow, those rumors were out there.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, the media paid so much attention to it that everyone was talking about it. So anytime that happens, what I want you to do is look for the stories behind the story.
Yes.
What are they actually covering up that should be news that's not making the news because they're making something else a big thing?
Headlines become deadlines. And this is a lot of good stuff that happened during that little time period. One of the whistleblowers for Hunter Biden, Joe Biden case came up missing. He came up dead. We don't hear about that. Just passed a bunch of money.
Hunter got a slap on the wrist. He's not in jail for which anyone else would have been in jail that didn't have the last name Biden.
Pentagon just gave Ukraine a couple more billion. We didn't hear about that. What else is going on?
There was like 6 things that our government did that you should have heard about, and I didn't have the list in front of me.
Hunter Biden's WhatsApp saying my father was with me while he's sitting right here while shaking down the Chinese energy company.
Oh, yeah. The big guy was confirmed.
Yep. Let's see. There's supposed to be some tapes out there for Joe Biden and Ukraine, Burisma.
Which happened all the way back, I think, in 2006. It started.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize is that we disrupted the Ukraine government and installed Zelensky.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff that you guys got to look into and look beyond CNN, MSNBC, Fox. You got to look beyond those.
They said the Navy knew about that.
Cahoots.
They knew about the sub going down right away. Like
Sunday.
Yeah, right away.
So that's the thing. That's the thing, guys, is on Sunday, they knew this. They had heard the noise that it imploded. They knew, which means Biden knew, which allowed them to keep this story going till what, Thursday?
Yep.
So all during that time, you got to look at Congress, what bills were passed, what other media stories should have been covered more, put more of a focus on. And that's the real news, not whatever they're trying to get you to pay attention to. They're trying to go, shiny object, look over here, not over here.
Yeah, when the Navy was asked about why didn't they say anything, they said that they have a new sonar machine that they didn't want the world to know about. So just cover up after cover up.
But now the world knows about it.
Yeah.
Just 4 days later, though.
Yeah.
Okay. So like their BS is like, oh, and by the way, a president is called commander in chief, which means they command the military. So if the Navy knew about it on Sunday, you better believe the commander in chief knew about it Sunday. And he let the news continue on for 4 more days.
With hope of finding these people and, pulling at your heartstrings. And
yeah, because again, they know majority of us are good people. And they're going to pull on every heartstring possible to get you to pay attention to what's over here, not what's behind the curtain. So with that, any last words of wisdom for the audience?
Only subs you should be thinking about should come with a bag of chips and a pickle.
From Jersey Mike's is my favorite spot, but
yeah, Jersey Mike's is pretty good. My closing thoughts, man. I just think we just got to get it together. And like you say, the government's not going to fix it for you. We as people have to start getting it together and fix it and be more open-minded and kinder to one another and stop being political bullies and stop wishing bad on people that's your political opposition. And it shouldn't be your political opposition anyway. You know, people have a difference in thought and everyone's not going to like the same thing. But I don't care who you are, what color you are, how you vote. I go with the facts. I don't go with anything else. That's it. Follow the facts.
Yep. My closing thoughts are just repetition of what I've said so far, because repetition is the mother of learning. No one's coming to save you. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. Learned that from my mentor, one of my mentors, and it's played true in my life. Build a garden. Get some chickens. Figure out how to personally sustain you and your family. Teach your kids how to be sustainable. Get off the government dime payroll. And what I mean by that is get off big pharma. Get off everything else that they're trying to control you on, and figure out how to do it on your own, and you be the ripple effect that your community needs. So with that, as always, Spartans, good and great are the enemies of possible. Lead like a Spartan today.